Okay, hello everybody. So, McLaren favour Norris. Well, according to Bernie Eccleston, they do. We will be getting into the show. We'll also be doing our roundup of the Italian Grand Prix. We've got lots to get into, including the Ferrari dilemma of should Hamilton have given Leclerc a toe in qualifying. There's lots to be discussed in this show. So if you are an F1 fan, you're in the right place. This is F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig, and we are going to get in to all of it. So, where should we start? Okay, well, let's do a very, very quick roundup of the Italian Grand Prix. So, some interesting points, as I'm sure you're aware, because you were watching it just like I was. I loved the first few laps. We saw a bit of a masterclass actually between Leclerc and Piastri. I thought it was excellent that they passed each other back and forth first 2 or 3 laps. Some excellent driving from both drivers. We also saw Alonso, who was running really well with his suspension failure in the Aston Martin, lap 26. Again, really taking his teammate to school. Lance Stroll not really on the pace, but Alonso, it was a shame because he was on for a good point scoring Grand Prix. Hello to everyone who's in the chat, who's just joined us, and also Leclerc not happy about having to pit lap 34, and we saw again Leclerc on the team radio asking his team, why are you calling me into pit? I didn't need to. And they basically said, we'll talk about it later. There's a lot to be going on over at Ferrari. And also don't forget, we're going to do our usual feature of who's our driver of the day and who is our dingbat of the day. Or a dipstick of the day. Sorry, not dingbat. A dipstick of the day. Who would you give it to? It was hard to pick a dipstick of the day for me, actually. I did pick one, but I want to see yours in the chat. Who do you think was the dipstick of the day at the Italian Grand Prix? Tell me in the chat. Also, I need to say, we need to talk briefly about, in the Grand Prix, the McLaren drama of should Oscar Piastri have given that place back to Lando Norris, all because the pit crew had an error with the tyre gun. Why was that Oscar Piastri's fault? Discuss. I mean, we all saw what happened. Piastri pitted to keep him out in front of Leclerc. Norris comes into pit. It's supposed to be routine. Tyre gun, there's a problem. It doesn't go green. So Lando's pit stop takes an extra 4 seconds, which meant when he left the pits, he came out behind Piastri with 6 laps to go. Now, Max Verstappen obviously was saying it's a racing incident. He was laughing about the fact that the team orders came through from McLaren. The Oscar had to give Lando the place back, even though it had nothing to do with Piastri. So he basically had to follow the team orders because of an error with Lando's pit crew. How's that fair? Bernie Eccleston has gone on record saying it's quite obvious that McLaren want the world champion to be Lando Norris. There he is, Bernie himself. I mean, he's a wily old fox, Bernie, and he does like to stir the pot. But is he right? That's the question. Is he right? Are McLaren showing signs that they actually do want their world champion to be Lando Norris, even though Oscar Piastri is, over 30 points ahead? I mean, it seems like Bernie might be right. But what do you think? Get in the chat. Hey, Gemma, nice to see you in the chat. He's talking about Bernie, saying he's pickled. That's not very nice, Gemma. He's only 94 years young. And he's only just retired. But that's what he thinks. He thinks McLaren basically are showing signs that they do favour Lando Norris, and that's who they would prefer. Now, I'm not sure he's right. I think it makes a good talking point because when you think about it, it was not Piastri's fault. And Piastri is a racing incident. Piastri's already way out in front. What did they think? It would just be demoralizing for Lando because it was a pit crew error. Did they think that it would cause question marks about whether the team did it on purpose to maximize Oscar's points in Italy, and they didn't want that friction in the team because Lando would be that demoralized? He would always question, did the team do it on purpose to give Oscar that track position and the extra points? So I can understand the difficulty within a team, what they face during that. It does make it would be difficult, but ultimately Oscar Piastri took that team order like a champion, didn't he? He said, okay, he said his piece on the radio. He said, I think it's a racing incident, but if the orders are to hand the place back to Norris, I will. And he did. So showing he's a team player, but I bet he hated it. I bet he hated every minute of doing that. You know, and honestly, there's a very evenly matched Piastri and Norris. They're very evenly matched. Either one, I think, is capable of being world champion. I think Oscar, for me, is, if I had to put my money on who I believe is a better driver, I'd say Oscar is. So that's the main thing. So Bernie Ecclestone, he's basically stirring up the pot. Drama at McLaren. He's saying that they favour Norris. But what do you think? Whether you're watching this on replay or you're watching this live, get in the chat and tell me what you think. Should Piastri have given that place back to Norris? It's contentious, but that's not the only thing that was contentious, is it? Because we need to talk about Ferrari and their qualifying. We need to talk about Charles Leclerc. Very unhappy with the fact that Lewis Hamilton wouldn't give him a tow in qualifying, even though Lewis Hamilton was carrying a 5-grid penalty. So with that in mind, they absolutely, in Leclerc's eyes, should have favoured trying to get that Ferrari in a higher qualifying position than fourth. Because we saw how good the tow was. You know, Yuki Tsunoda playing the team game, giving Max Verstappen a tow, helping him get that lap record and that pole position. And Leclerc wanted the same. The drivers, the cars were so close that a tow could have been the difference of Leclerc being pole or being fourth. And obviously we know that Ferrari would, if it holding track, it's actually quite difficult to overtake in Monza, so we thought, until there were some great overtaking maneuvers, especially between Piastri and Leclerc. But it would have been important for the Ferrari to have track position. So this is the dilemma. So Fred Vasseur came out and said that it was his decision not to provide for Hamilton to provide a tow for Leclerc due to the fact that they wanted to focus on tyre preparation for the cars. That sounds a bit weak, doesn't it? It sounds like he didn't want, there's something else going on, like different politics. Like, truthfully, if one of your drivers has got a 5-place grid penalty and the other driver got pole in the previous Grand Prix and has a chance of getting pole, surely they could have worked it so Hamilton could have still put a qualifying lap time in and given Leclerc a tow. However, it didn't happen. So Charles Leclerc, unhappy on two accounts, really. One, he didn't get a tow in qualifying, which could have helped him possibly get a pole. And also unhappy about bringing him in to the pits when he didn't feel it was necessary. And then publicly on the radio asking him to explain that decision, where they said, we will explain it later, which is basically them telling him, shut up. Not publicly do we talk about these things over team radio. Stop bringing Ferrari into the headlines. Do not complain about the team. That has been the constant message from Ferrari with Hamilton as well. Do not damage the brand Ferrari. So Leclerc really sort of pushing back on that. But was it deserved? Like, should he be pushing back on that? Was it warranted? I have to say, yeah, really, if I'm Leclerc and I've put the car on pole in the previous Grand Prix and my teammate's got a 5-place grid penalty, yeah, play the team game. Do your job. Help us out. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But that's... what do you think? If you're watching live, get in the chat now. If you are watching on a replay, make sure you get in the comments, because I'm interested to know what everyone thinks. There's a couple of real team power play dynamics going on with McLaren and Ferrari at the centre of it. So yeah, we are going to be talking about that. So get in the chat. Tell me your say. Gemma likes my comfy jump, my knitwear. That's right, Gemma. It's getting cold. Have you not noticed? The weather is changing. So it's all about the knitwear. It's true. Hope you've got your knitwear on. We'll have to be putting the heating on soon. But yeah, so there's a lot going on. But what about... Let's talk about something positive. Positive story. And my driver of the day, Max Verstappen. Absolutely brilliant race win. Totally deserved. Really did exceptionally well to put the car on pole. Really, to win the race by a gap of 20 seconds was remarkable considering how that Red Bull has been doing. So I think it's not only is he your race winner, he is also absolutely, deservedly driver of the day. And I've got a little graphic for that. There he is. Max is on fire. Max on fire. Especially after all the stuff that's been going on over at Red Bull. Losing all your top personnel. Horner gone. Newey gone. Wheatley gone. Only left with the Dart Lord, Helmut Marko. And Laurent Mekies, congratulations. Your first Grand Prix win as team principal over at McLaren. But we have to be honest. It was down to Max. The car is... The Red Bull's the Red Bull, but was it the best car on the day? Well, I think we have to say that this really is down to Max Verstappen showing his world class. He is the best driver on the grid. We can't deny that. But he does like his cars a certain way, which other drivers don't like. He did get that tow from Yuki Tsunoda under team orders, which helped him get that incredible pole position lap. But in the race, it was all Max. All Max. Drove the socks off that car, drove it, didn't put a foot wrong. Absolutely deserved driver of the day. Absolutely deserved the win. And I think, again, any driver who really outperforms the engineering of the car, and Max can do that. So, yeah, congratulations to Max. Yeah, proving yet again he is... the greatest driver on the grid, because that car, well, if we look at Yuki Tsunoda's performance, he finished P13 again. By the way, Yuki Tsunoda not good enough, because you're always going to get compared to your teammate, even if it's Max Verstappen, even if you're playing the team game, even if you're helping Max get a pole position, even if you're helping Max in many different ways, you still finish that car out the points. And P13. And so the rumours are true. Yuki definitely will not be having that seat at Red Bull in 2026. And we have no idea where he'll be driving or even if he'll be on the grid in 2026. But that is absolutely well-deserved. Max Verstappen, driver of the day. But who is the dipstick of the day? Who do you think? This one's going to surprise you because purely from throwing the teddy out the cot in a public way, my dipstick of the day, which I know you're all dying to know, is this guy. It's Charles Leclerc. He was my dipstick of the day purely because of his almost tantrum-esque antics after the Grand Prix and during the Grand Prix. And also Leclerc, he's always everyone's golden boy, isn't he? So I've given him dipstick of the day for Italy. Yeah. And actually, I want to give a shout out to my so dipstick of the day, Charles Leclerc. Tell me if you agree. Get in the chat. Tell me who your dipstick of the day was in Italy at the Italian Grand Prix. But Lewis Hamilton, we've got to mention him. He actually put that car P6 in qualifying. Obviously had a 5 grid penalty, 5 place grid penalty. He finished P6 in the end as well. So, Lewis Hamilton qualified P5, finished P6, started the race P10. He did well. Lewis Hamilton really showing signs of improvement. And I think it should be recognised that Lewis has shown an increase in form. He was only a 10th really behind Leclerc. And I think we're going to see Hamilton towards the end of the season just get better and better. And we might see him not only on a par with Leclerc, but even out qualifying him. I mean, it's a big step forward for Lewis, the Italian Grand Prix. Big step forward for him. So I think it has to be noted after he's had a very torrid, difficult time. So we should be shouting out Lewis. Congratulations to Lewis, really. He drove very well. He drove very well. Should he have given Leclerc a toe in qualifying? Probably, to be honest. I mean, Fred Vasseur decided to go against that, which is a strange decision of team principle. Why would that have upset Hamilton? You've got a 5 place grid penalty. You probably should have done it. But again, Fred Vasseur said they had to concentrate on tyres. And that's tyre preparation. And that meant that apparently they couldn't get Hamilton to give him a toe. Hi, Eric. Nice to have you in the chat. Yeah, Max Verstappen was solid. Masterclass, really. Brilliant. Brilliant all the way along. His qualifying was superb. Just saving it to the last second. Leclerc thought he'd pipped it for pole, and then it was just Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, and then he finds himself in 4th. Leclerc thought he put in a magical lap, actually, he said, in qualifying. Without a toe, remember, without a toe. And if he'd got a toe, Leclerc, maybe, we might have seen him, maybe even P1. But Max Verstappen, you can't take anything away from him. But did you all enjoy the Grand Prix? It was the fastest Grand Prix, I think, in history. It was only an hour and a bit long. I don't want my Grand Prix to be an hour, but I want it to be 2 hours long. But I actually really enjoyed the Grand Prix. I thought the racing in the first few laps between Leclerc and Piastri was absolutely top draw. There were some brilliant overtaking maneuvers between them two, switching positions lap 2 and lap 3. Excellent, really was excellent to see that. Fighting, like Piastri was brave. He was going for the points, wasn't he? He nearly lost his front wing twice in the first 3 laps. I think Piastri's got some big balls, if I'm honest. I think Oscar Piastri's got all of the ingredients to be a fantastic world champion. And, dare I say it, out of all the drivers in the last couple of generations, dare I say it, Oscar Piastri is the driver that most reminds me of Senna. Does anyone agree with that? There's something about Piastri in the way he drives, the way he conducts himself. He reminds me of Senna in a lot of ways. And I think as he gets older, because he's still, what, in his second season? Was it second or third season? Second season. He's still going to grow into his confidence. But I think we're going to see him grow into almost a Senna-esque driver. I do. And you heard it here first, but I really do believe that Piastri's got that in him. He's got that quality. We're going to see more of his teeth as he gets older. We're going to see more of his edge as he gets older. But you can see it's in there. Even while he's in this kind of junior position, you can still see he's got some teeth in there. And as he grows into it, maybe when he wins a world championship, I think we're going to see that kind of Senna-esque driver. And his driving style is similar. His overtaking manoeuvres with Leclerc, and Leclerc on him actually, were outstanding. Clean driving, just good, pure racing. Yeah, at every Grand Prix, I am more and more impressed with Oscar Piastri. Yeah, I think he's just out of all the drivers of the last two generations. I don't want Bernie. Why have I got Bernie up there? I don't want Bernie. I want Oscar. Yeah, but I think he's going to become this kind of Senna-esque figure over the next. Well, he's so young now, isn't he? He could drive for the next 10. He'll be on the scene for the next 10 years or so, more, probably more. If you think about Lewis Hamilton's career. But yeah, that's my prediction about him. Yeah, Eric. Yeah, do you know what I mean, Eric? Right? You can see it as well. There's something about him. And if you were lucky enough, like me and maybe Eric, to have watched Senna in his heydays in the 80s and 90s, you might understand what I'm saying about this Senna-esque type driver in Piastri. But yeah, Eric, I agree. I mean, he's got that about him, and that excites me. And I don't see that in Lando Norris. I don't see that I don't see Lando's teeth. Do you know what I mean? Like, Lando is he's a quick driver, there's no doubt. And he's a nice guy. And he's a racer. But I don't see the teeth. And Max Verstappen, you'll know what I mean. He's got teeth. He's got an aggression about him. He's got an ability to go for it in a way where ruthless. It's a ruthlessness. Senna had it. Schumacher had it. Verstappen's got it. Lando Norris, has he got it? I don't know. But he's a great driver and he deserves to be on the grid. But is he a world class top number one driver? I'm not saying he won't win a world championship, because there's a lot of drivers who win world championships who I don't believe are like necessarily the best driver. They're in 9 times out of 10 they're in the best car. But occasionally you'll get a driver like Schumacher, who won that world championship in Ferrari. I can't remember the year exactly, but it was the first world championship in a long time, and he brought it to Ferrari. I would say that was a Schumacher win rather than a car win. I would say Schumacher was one of those drivers that was able to make the car better than the sum of its parts. And it was his skill that won that first world championship for Ferrari. And Max has got that. Max is able to do that. I think maybe even Piastri might be able to do that. Norris, I don't know. Max has the best press interactions of all time, Eric. Yeah, you're right. Oh my God. Max is so funny because he doesn't give a shit, does he? That's the thing, Eric. He says it how it is. Max is brilliant in press interviews because he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about being liked, does he? He only cares about being quick. And because he is authentic, we like him. Like Kimi Räikkönen. Do you remember Kimi Räikkönen? I'm sure some of you do. The Iceman. Great driver. Super fast. He was a world champion. But him in interviews, wow. He'd do one-word answers. He did not want to be there. He didn't want to talk. But you couldn't help but like him because he wasn't putting it on. That was his authentic self. And Max is like that. I don't want my drivers to be so politically correct that they're always towing the company line. Like, I think George Russell is a great driver. He's smooth. He's like the James Bond of Formula One. But do I find it a bit vanilla when I want him to, like, show us your teeth, George? You know, you're a quick driver. You're an excellent driver. You are right up there. You're probably, for me, you might even be the second best driver on the grid. And after Max, that's not a bad thing. But where are your teeth? You know, I want to see more teeth in my drivers. Yeah. And also Max's radio chatter. Yeah, brilliant. Max's radio chatter, when he turned around and he said, when he was laughing about McLaren forcing Oscar Piastri to give up that space, give up that place to Lando Norris, he was like, surely it's a racing incident. And actually, that doesn't help Max because, you know, it doesn't really, does it? So he was just talking honestly, and he was saying, he was laughing about it. He thought it was a crazy team order to give that place back when it was it's a racing incident, that the pit stop didn't go well. It happens sometimes. And then expecting your teammate to give you the place back because your pit crew didn't do a very good job, or there was a technical problem. It's crazy. And he does. You're right, Eric. He says things that a lot of people don't have the guts to say. On the team radio as well. Yeah, he does. That's what I like about Max. But I think Piastri's got it in him. Because Piastri, excuse me. I just have to have a little drink of water. Because Piastri, do you remember his team radio? After he was ordered to give Lando the place back, on his team radio, he said, I think it's a racing incident, but sure, I'll give him the place back. So he got his point across. He said, I disagree with this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now, at some point, as Piastri gets a little older, and maybe a world championship under his belt, he will be like, I disagree with this, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to comply. Because as you get older and you mature into your drive, you got a world championship behind you, you stop. You're not going to do as you're told. You're going to be like, I'm a freaking world champion. I'm here to race. And the driver's confidence grows, their record grows, and because of that, their teeth grow. And then we're going to see Oscar Piastri. I think he's going to come into his own. And I do think we're going to get a Senna-esque driver out of Oscar. He's quick. He's great. He's good in interviews. He's composed. But he gets his point across. But will he be as politically correct once he's a world champion? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's, yeah. But what do you think? So here's my question, Eric, and anyone else in the chat. Should Oscar Piastri have given that place back to Lando Norris? Yes or no? What do you think? I mean, he did it, but should he have done it? And if you just joined us, I can see a lot of you just joined this during the stream. We're talking about the McLaren drama and the dilemma. Should Oscar Piastri have given Lando Norris that position back on the racetrack because Lando's pit crew had a slow pit stop due to a tyre gun malfunction? Eric says no. Max Verstappen said no. But what do you think? Like, I have to say, I'm not going to sit on the fence. My honest view is no fucking way. Even if you're both in the same team, Oscar Piastri did nothing wrong. Why should he be penalised? It's not my fault that your pit stop didn't go well and you lost 4 seconds. How is that my fault? If I'm Oscar Piastri, I'm like, that's not my fucking problem. That is not my problem. Sorry. Unlucky. It's a racing incident. And you're right, Eric. Yeah, think of Ken Miles. 100% when he was driving for Ford. And they made him the team order to bring all those cars in together. And because of that, he lost the win at Le Mans when he was like miles out in front. He had to slow down to let the other Fords, the Ford GTs catch him. So all three Ford GTs could cross the line at the same time. And because he did that, he lost the win at Le Mans. Team orders suck balls, don't they? They suck balls. Listen, I understand one team order. Do not crash into each other. That is the only team order that matters, right? Do not crash into each other. Everything else, honestly, I'm here to race. I'm racing. But when there's a situation where it's got nothing to do with me and your pit crew delay you by 4 seconds and I gain track position on you, well, race me for it. Race me for it. Get past me, right? That's what I think. That's my view on it. And Bernie Ecclestone, who's been a little bit more sinister with his view, where he thinks this is evidence that McLaren favour Norris. I mean, do they? Do McLaren want a British world champion for some reason? Why would they? I mean, is it? Is it the fact that McLaren get so much funding from Lando Norris's dad? In the, you know, Lando Norris's dad gave him like, what was it, $40 million or $40 million for Lando to get his drive. Maybe he's still pumping money into the team. I don't know. I'm speculating. This is pure speculation on what Bernie Ecclestone says, where he basically threw it out there that he believes that McLaren are showing themselves to prefer Norris over Piastri. Well, those are a strong accusation from Bernie Ecclestone. Strong accusation. Let me know what you think in the chat or on the replay if you're watching the chat now. Yeah, so Eric said, if the pit crew had an issue, then address the pit crew member. Don't tax the 100%. Don't tax the second driver. If the pit crew's done bad, well, unlucky. The racing incident. It's laughable. We shouldn't be I agree. So I'm not sure about the sinister accusation from Bernie Ecclestone, but maybe he's onto something. Maybe he knows something I don't know. But yeah, I think Nico Rosberg was interesting with what he said. So Nico Rosberg said, if that was me getting the call on the radio, and if he was Oscar Piastri asking him to give the place back, he would have unplugged the radio. And that's what they used to do back in the day, and pretended he didn't get the message. That was Nico Rosberg in the interview after the race. He said, well, no way. I wouldn't have given the place back. I would have pretended I didn't get the message. It was like, boop, sorry caller, boop. Yeah, he would have unplugged his radio. Because you've got to remember, it was right at the end of the race. There was only 6 laps left. So he could have resisted. He could have resisted. What that would have done to the team, I don't know. There would have been problems, right? But still, that is the situation. That's what Nico Rosberg said. But I want to know what you think, because this is very contentious. And I know other people have different opinions on it. So get in the chat, tell me what you think, and I promise I'll respond to you. If you watch this on replay, I will respond to the messages underneath the video. But that's what we've been talking about. We've also, the second thing we've been talking about is, should Lewis Hamilton have given Charles Leclerc a tow in qualifying to help Leclerc get that pole position? What do you think, Eric? Should Hamilton have helped Leclerc get a pole position time in qualifying because Hamilton was carrying a 5-place grid penalty? That's also contentious. I think Ferraris, there's all sorts of problems going on at Ferrari as well. So Gemma says yes, Hamilton should have helped Leclerc. Eric says no. Brutal. Eric straight in with a no. Hamilton should not have helped his teammate get that tow, the all-important tow, to get that pole position that Leclerc desperately wanted and probably could have got, you know. He was close. He could have, with a toe, that was worth maybe 3/10. So, well, let's have a look at his qualifying results. So, let me remind myself. So, Leclerc, if he'd have got 3/10, yeah, it would have got him. It would have got him pole. So that's the thing. So Verstappen got a toe, and they said it was worth, that toe in qualifying was 3/10 of a second. Leclerc didn't get a toe, and he did a 119 dead. If he'd have got those 3/10 of a second, that would have put him on pole. Would have put him on pole. So he has got a fair. It's a fair comment. And if you're Ferrari, you know that if your teammate gives your driver a toe at Monza and it's worth an extra 3/10 in your fastest lap, why would you not do that and get one of your cars on pole position? Too busy talking about setting up tyre pressures. I don't know, man. That doesn't sound right. I think it was just to keep the peace. I think Hamilton wouldn't want to do it because that would have almost said, okay, I'm putting Leclerc. It's almost positioned himself as a second driver, and Hamilton's not going to want to do that, is he? So I think it's political. I don't think it had anything to do with Fred Vasseur talking about tyre pressures. I think it was political, and I think Leclerc knew that, but it wasn't sensible. The sensible move as team principal go, Hamilton, you've got to toe the Ferrari line, and let's get a Ferrari on pole position, and then maybe we can, you know, get a podium. You know, we need one. So that's the other things. But what do you think? Yeah, Eric says good points. Yeah, but you know, you've got to consider it. It's when it was worth 3/10 of a second in a qualifying lap. I mean, it's a big decision to not let for Hamilton not to give him. Listen, if Hamilton didn't have the 5-place grid penalty, I kind of okay, all right. If he didn't have a 5-place grid penalty, then all right. And Hamilton says, I'm not giving him a toe. Tell you what, let him give me a toe. I understand that argument. But you've got a 5-place grid penalty. You're going to be starting in the middle of the field anyway. Why not get the other car in P1? Why not try and get him in P1? You know it's worth 3/10 of a second. Why not do it? And Fred Vasseur, you probably should have shown some balls, mate, and made that happen. You should have given the team order, made him do it. That's just what I think. And I'm a Hamilton fan. Just what I think. But what do you think? Tell me, literally, Gemma's in the chat, literally toe the Ferrari line in the car. Exactly, Gemma, yeah. Toe the Ferrari line and toe Leclerc. Get him on P1. It's fair comments, to be fair. How many times can I say fair? But they are, they're good comments. But yeah, so those are today's talking points. I've been talking about it enough. I want to hear what you've got to say about it. If you're watching on replay, get in the chat. I'll respond to the comments. But yeah, two very interesting, dramatic points. Big congratulations. I'm going to wrap it up with a big congratulations again to a masterclass, an absolute masterclass. Driver of the day, your Grand Prix winner, Max Verstappen. Brilliant job. Brilliant job. P1, pole position, P1, excellent. Showing everyone how it's done. And it was his skill, not the car, to be fair. Showing everyone why he is the world's best driver at the moment. Not in the world's best car. But that's it. So good to be back. Sorry I've been off for a few days, but I will be back again tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell. It makes a massive difference to the channel, and I really do appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow night for some more F1 Grandstand and for more F1 news. Thank you so much for watching. Ta-ta.